Let's talk about that a little bit because I think this is a year where women's basketball is actually starting to gain some steam because the men's college hoops is not really the same product that we're used to. It feels like really anyone can win it this year. Women's college basketball, I'm starting to see a lot more on the timeline. I'm starting to see a lot more highlights, a lot more impressive feats. I think just the quality of players has gotten a lot better in college. And then you got Sabrina Ionescu going against Steph Curry and matching the best score from the men's 3-point contest, shooting from the men's 3-point line. And I don't know. Is this like the kind of the start of women's basketball really breaking into that next level?
Yeah, I would say that's a huge winner from this last week of just sports in general is women's basketball. I think we're starting to see that gain more notoriety, more validity, and gain some more traction as far as their fan base being like, yes, I told you, like, there's actual skill here. There is something to be said with the star power coming from this women's college basketball and moving into the WNBA. And again, I've said multiple times that the WNBA just does a horrible job of marketing their players and making them stars. But they did a great job here with Sabrina taking on Steph, and they really showed out as far as it was very interesting. It took down to the last shot for Steph to seal the deal. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I think that there's big props to Sabrina, big props to Steph, but ultimately, like, events like this are so cool, and I think it breeds new fans into, okay, well, let me check out the WNBA a little bit more. Let me start to watch a little bit more women's college basketball. Let me start to do this. As far as where you're coming from, like, how do you, so did you like this kind of well, I know it was a little bit of a kind of gimmicky thing with the 3-point shootout just between those two. I think she should have been in the actual 3-point contest, and I think she would have won it.
I think she would have won the actual 3-point contest. And I actually do like this like one-on-one kind of challenge situation. I would like to see more of that during the All-Star weekend going forward. Like why not bring in four women's players and just do 1v1 matches like that? Like 1v1 3-point shootouts and just make that a little tournament. Why not like 8 shooters, 4 from NBA, 4 from WNBA? Let's put them all in a 3-point shooting tournament and let's knock this out because I mean that's what people want to see now is 3-point shooting because no one's hyped about dunks anymore. So I think she definitely held down for the women's league, and I think it's not just her. Like Caitlin Clark has been the biggest name out there almost out there for women's basketball in general, pro or college. And you know how many times they brought up her name during that broadcast? I think she is doing a lot more. She's one of the main reasons that women's basketball is kind of coming up. And it's not just that she's really good. Right now, you have to stay in college 4 years if you're a women's basketball player because you're not getting the marketing. You're not getting huge money to go to the WNBA. So what are we going to do? We're going to stay here. We're going to build a great team. And we're going to try to win national championship. And you're seeing that right now where there's so many competitive teams. Notre Dame's looking good. Louisville's looking good. LSU's still top 15 when they have stars. Iowa, obviously. And there's just multiple teams that I think are putting together good product. And when good product comes out, fans will start to watch. And I think it's we have to like normalize talking about them because once these girls get into the WNBA in the next 4 or 5 years, I think it is going to become very mainstream where Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and all these women are big names.
And that's where the WNBA has problems. They have roster issues. Instead of embracing the young talent, it's more of a like, all right, well, we're going to keep these old vets on the roster because they've earned it and you can go overseas. And it is kind of bullshit. Like, but again, that's a topic for another day. As far as Caitlin Clark becoming the highest scoring women's basketball player ever, what a great accomplishment. I mean, she has become so transcendent in sports where she is now talked about, and it's either you love her or you hate her. If you're on one side, you feel adamant about it. And I think that I'm on this side where she is great. And then you have these other people that the Shale Swoops, the Jay Williams, where it's like, I can't call her great. There's an asterisk by her name because she didn't win a title. Uh, she had a COVID year, even though she didn't have a COVID year. You make up all the excuses or you put praise, and either way, you feel very strongly about it.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of dumb to put a title against her because a lot of great college basketball players have never won a title. Um, I mean, we're gonna say Caleb Williams is trash because he didn't win a national championship. It's like, what are we doing here?
What
What
about
standard are we?
LeBron James? He doesn't have a college
Yeah,
championship.
he never even won a college game. So you want to talk about who's struggling in college? Um, but yeah, I think it's kind of dumb argument. We'll see. Her career's not over in college, but you also have to take into account all the teams are pretty good this year and pretty good and well balanced her whole time in college. It's not like you had a Fab Five in Michigan and like they tore through the tournament. There's not like marquee. There's not just her marquee team and then a bunch of nobodies. Like if you look throughout the landscape of women's college basketball, there's a lot of really good teams and teams that have been really good for a long time. And so I think I'm equally excited to watch the men's and the women's tournament because the men, I have no idea. Anyone could win it. And same thing for the women's, but I think there's more star power in the women's side right now.
Yeah, which is actually really weird. I don't think there's ever been a time where a woman has been the face of college basketball by far. And it's weird because this year, especially, we have Purdue and Zach Edey. Zach Edey won National Basketball Player of the Year last year. He looks like he's going to win it again this year, hands down, pretty easily. And yet, it's all about Caitlin Clark. And so I think that shows what level of star power, of greatness. I mean, not only is she the leading scorer, I think she's now sixth in assists all time. So she's not just like, oh, I'm going to be Russell Westbrook. She's also dishing the rock too. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's insane what she's doing right now. And